back to another video. This is my third quarterfinal of the Bookish Asian Cup, and hot off the heels of China winning their quarterfinal and going through, we have the next installment or matchup with South Korea going against Uzbekistan, and yeah, in the theme of these videos trying to be quite short, let's get straight into it. The North Korean entry is Lemon by Kwon Yun-sun, translated from Korean by Janet Hong, and this is quite a slight book. It is following kind of Daon, but then also two of her childhood classmates, and 17 years ago her sister was killed on the way home from school, and how this crime and the death of her sister has plagued her throughout her life, and sort of living in her shadow, but then also how it's impacted these two classmates. And there is different POVs, but it's not always that easy to understand who is talking per se, but yeah, it's just about this single event and how it's impacting them in the present day, but then also there is multiple years as well. A little bit not the easiest to follow. It's decent. It's a decent book. I feel like I enjoyed reading it and sort of what it was trying to say and do, but it was a little bit hard to follow, and it felt a little bit slim and slight and sparse, and there was just something missing, I kind of think. But yeah, that is sort of the plot. Yeah, that's how it goes along in a way. Sorry, I'm not doing that good of a job. What I felt was quite good is how it explores this grief and her trying to come to terms with the death of her sister, and sort of who she was and who she is, and sort of her trying to change herself to be kind of a bit more like her because of living in her shadow and sort of the pressures and things put on her, and also the way it explores sort of classism and privilege, and how different people are viewed and perceived and treated because of that, and how there were two boys that were questioned regarding the murder of her sister, but neither of them was charged, and how the case had went closed, and her sort of examining that in some sense. But then what I didn't particularly like was how it was a little bit hard to follow at times, and it just felt like it was lacking something. And I put a question mark because I don't really know exactly what that is. It just felt lacking in some sense, yeah, just sort of how it was quite sparse, and I was sort of left wanting more from it, but it did a decent job of what it was trying to do. And then for the Uzbekistan entry, we have We Computers by Hamid Ismailov, translated from Uzbek by Shelly Fairweather Vega. If you can tell, there is a bookmark in it because I have not finished this. I started it quite a few months ago. I read about 40 pages, and then I put it down for a long time because I didn't read for ages, to be honest, because I had lots of uni assignments, and then I had to go up to Birmingham to sit my final uni exam, which I have done, and then I was just sort of feeling quite burnt out, and just didn't really read much at all in April and May. I will have my sort of springy summer wrap up coming up soon, where I go through the books. I just wanted to do all these ones first because they would be spoilers for how the matches ended up. And then when I got back, I did read a decent-ish chunk. I read 60 pages, but at this moment in time, I don't want to pick it up. It doesn't bring me joy. It kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety, because it is extremely dense, and I don't want this series to just go on forever until I finally finish it. There isn't a hard DNF, it's a pause or a soft DNF. I will get back to this because I do want to read it, I do want to finish it, I do want to explore the story and how it's going along, because it is very fascinating and really, really interesting it's just extremely dense, and quite repetitive, and lots of tangents, and so many names and things that you don't really need to kind of remember. You just sort of have to go along with the story, but it's very layered. The story is that, I think it's like in the 80s, there's this French poet called John Peirce, and he has this like computer, and then he sort of uses it and like codes or whatever for it to start producing sort of like poetry, and he feeds in the work of different like Iranian and I think Uzbek and different people from that area of like West Asia, into it to create poems and works and things like that. And he also has an Uzbek translator, kind of friend-ish, called Abdul Hamid Ismail, and he's helping. He's also trying to translate works from, I believe, French and other languages into Uzbek. But then there's also the AI character that isn't Abdullah Hamid Ismail, because his initials are AI and he is sort of called AI in the book as well. But there's an AI which is what I believe the computer is, and the AI is telling the story to us, and it sort of breaks characters and says like, oh, an error here, so and so, and we'll rephrase this, and like it doesn't sound like human enough and things like that. So yeah, it's extremely layered. But then on top of that, there's these divulges into these sort of ghazals and poems and things by different like authors, and then we like get all of them stories as well. And like there's some that like they're in the italics, whereas the normal content from the AI is in the normal like straight sort of wording. And yeah, there's all these different tangents of different stories, and it's set out like a ghazal novel where there's like two parts. I think it like goes back and forth, and it's split into these bayats. I got to the fourth one, and yeah, and it just talks about so much about like philosophy and like literature and poetry and like the works and sort of like translation and like authorship and who owns things, and like I guess in some ways like the use of AI, and can an AI create poetry when it is so deeply human, and sort of talking about like, humanity, and like how there's so much involved with being a human in a sense. It is extremely fascinating. I believe it is worth a read. It just, at this moment in time, my brain can't really handle all of that, and I'm gonna put it on hold until I get back to it. And also I think I have spent a long time. I got to 104 pages, which is quite a long way through. I'm about like, I don't know, just over like 33%, maybe a little bit more through the book. I went out specifically to get this because I found it was so interesting. I got the signed one as well. So I'm not DNFing it fully. I'm not unhauling it. I'm going to try and get back to it. And I do feel bad about not finishing a book for this video, so it can legitimately go up against the South Korean entry. But I think it's best for me at the moment to put it on hold. And that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want to just push myself through it and just send me possibly into another reading slump. But I will eventually get through it, so stay on the channel. I will read it hopefully eventually, maybe before the end of the year. We shall see. But yeah, I am sorry. So let's go to a few clippings from the actual match, if I did record them. I think I did. And then I'll be back. 6-0 Korea. Sorry, Uzbekistan. So for my actual, my personal wrap up, this is a DNF in essence, and it means that Uzbekistan forfeits the game, and it cannot continue. So we are saying goodbye to Uzbekistan. Right now the star rating is probably around a 3.5. It's just so dense and very, very confusing, so I'm not 100% sure. And that means that South Korea did win 3-0, because when a team forfeits, the other team automatically wins 3-0. So that is the scoreline. I'm sorry, Uzbekistan, I did not give you a fair chance. I'm very, very, very sorry. But I just have to put it on pause for now. Lemon is going through to the semi-finals, and this book I gave a 3.5 star rating, so I believe they are quite close. So yeah, that is this video. This is the one that's like been mean, I haven't been able to do these for quite a few months, because I just had that Wii Computers constantly on the side trying to get back to it, but not really having the energy or desire to do so. I'm still a little bit burnt out from all the uni work and stuff, so I've been reading quite a few more like shorter, like easier to read works, but actually I mean some of them are quite dense and hard. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the final match of the quarterfinals, and then the finals to come after that. Have a nice or even night wherever you are in the world, and I shall see you very soon. Bye.